Okay, sorry. Today we're gonna start with slope-intercept form. We've kind of already been talking about slope, what it looks like, okay? So when we talk about slope, we already know, we've seen earlier from this week that this f of x, and we could say 10x, right? If we make $10 an hour, okay, at 1 hour, we know we're gonna have $10. At 5 hours, we know we're gonna have $50, okay? That 10 is our slope, okay? So we could change this f of x to say y equals 10x. That's almost the same thing, okay? So we've already been kind of doing that. The thing we're gonna add on today is gonna be talking about y-intercept. So if you work 0 hours at your job, are they still gonna give you that $10? No, they're not gonna give you $10 when you work no hours. The only time that they're gonna give you $10 is if you worked 1 hour, okay? So our y-intercept, when we're talking about in terms of this equation, is gonna be 0, okay? And that means that if I would plug in 0 for my x, 0 hours, 0 times 10 is 0, plus 0, okay, is 0. We get $0 for not working at all, okay? So when we look at the general formula for slope-intercept, okay, here's our general formula. You will need this today. Y equals mx plus b, okay? Our m is our slope. Yes.
We don't got papers, right?
Oh, no. I'm like Hot Mess Express today. I don't know why, because I went home and I hurried up and cooked dinner, and then I went to bed at like 6 o'clock, because I've had a headache for like 3 days.
I went to bed at like 9:30. I was tired last night.
Dude, I slept all the way till this morning, and I still didn't want to get this morning. I about took off tomorrow, but then I'm like, I don't really want to use
I have to
my
take
day.
so many shots today.
Oh, you're one of those, like, you gotta get your shots up today.
I gotta-
Stop your daughter.
I gotta get like 5 of them. I have to get one for my blood test, for my heart. You heard me, man?
Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta get one for like a blood test. I have to get one for the flu shot. I have to get like some for like an HTP. I don't even know what it is. Then I have to get some other big word one, and then something else I can't remember. And
Here, we
it's all
still
in-
tomorrow.
Dude, I'm gonna be crying like a little baby. Yeah,
But normally, yes, I do. Normally, it's like I get in bed. Thankfully, you get you a good husband one day, okay? Or wife, whatever floats your boat. Okay, but thankfully, I have a wonderful spouse, and he was like, "Oh, you're fine." He was like, "Don't even cook dinner," but I thought, I'm still gonna cook dinner for them. And then I took a couple melatonin and I went to bed. Like, so today I feel okay. I don't know if I was super tired or what, but I've had a headache for what feels like ever.
crying.
Okay, so our M is what we use for our slope habitually, and it's also called rate of change. Okay, the B is called the y-intercept, and it's also called, and you're going to need to know this for today, but it's our starting point, okay? Okay, and you guys know I don't do notes like normal people, I would say, because I think that's a waste of time. So those are your notes in a nutshell. Make sure you have them. You will not be successful today without that formula. That is slope-intercept formula, okay? That's what's called slope-intercept form. Today, this is slope-intercept formula, okay? And that's just a breakdown. So the very first ones, it says write the slope-intercept form of the equation of the line given the slope and the y-intercept. So we are given the slope and the y-intercept for the problem, and they want you to write it what it's supposed to look like. So for the very first one, our y is always going to be there, okay? Our equals and our x is always going to be there. The only things that are going to change or that we need to plug in essentially is going to be that slope and that y-intercept. And in this case, my slope is negative 10 over 3, so we put that where the m goes. And my y-intercept is negative 5. Okay, if it's anything to intercept other than a plus, okay, you have to put that sign. Okay, so if we look at number 2, Okay, same thing, I got y equals my slope, I'm plugging in for m, is 2 over 5, x plus my y-intercept is positive 4. Okay, if we look at number 3, okay, same thing. I got y equals my m is my slope and my y-intercept is my b. So mx plus b, so minus 3 over 2x plus my b is 1.
Wait, so it's only really adding if it's a...
We're not adding, so the addition sign is already in the formula. So that y-intercept is a positive 1, so we're just writing the 1 there. But if it's a negative y-intercept, we have to put minus first, okay? Which is like number 5. So number 5, we're going to say y equals my m is my slope, my b is my y-intercept. So I got 10 over 3x, and it should say plus b, but my b is negative, so we're going to put minus 5. Does that make sense? No?
I haven't been paying attention. I've been just writing random stuff. I was daydreaming. Sorry, man.
You're fine.
Trying to catch up. I did. What the heck?
Come on, do this one.
I did. Sorry.
No, this one.
Oh. That'd be plus 2, man.
Yep. Why did you write 2 over 1?
Because.
You can. Does that make sense?
Yup.
Okay, go down to the graphs. Well, look at the bottom of your paper, I guess, sorry. Okay, these ones say write slope-intercept form of the equation of the line. So, same thing. They want you to write it in this form. This is what your answer should look like. Y equals mx plus b, or maybe minus b, depending on. Okay, so when we're looking at a graph, okay, what's our slope? We did it yesterday. Rise over run. Okay, the only other additional thing that we're learning today is about the y-intercept, or the starting point. Okay, so it's called a y-intercept for a very specific reason. So I don't want to say all of you guys have probably watched football, but all of you guys probably have like seen, you know what football is. Okay, so in football, an interception, okay, and this is my girly way of describing it, 'cause I don't know what the technical terms are, but if like they're throwing the ball and somebody like jumps in front of the other person that it's meant to go to, and they get it, okay, they steal it, they snatch their way, whatever, okay, they intercepted that pass at some point. Okay, so we want to know a y-intercept, where does it cross that y line? Okay, and it crosses the y line right here. Okay, because this is our y line. Okay, it crosses that y line in only one spot on all of these. Okay, so that's our y-intercept. So when we're using our formula, we have y equals blank, we don't know, x plus blank. Okay, we could fill in our b. What's our y-intercept? Well, it's at 2. Okay, you always have to find the y-intercept before you can find, well, not really, but the slope. Okay, now we can go from this point, and we need to find another point that is on equal crosshairs, meaning I cannot pick right here. Okay, if you look really closely, that's not on like equal X marks the spot crosshairs. And so you would almost have to guess what you think that point is. You can't say, well, that point is, so it needs to be on a fine particular spot. So start traveling down the line until it crosses at a particular like square. So right here you could use, or right here you could use. Okay, and those are the only ones that you really could use. Okay, and then now it's just a matter of finding rise over run. Okay, so count from one point to the other. So how much do we rise? How much do we run? Okay, well we rise 2, so it's going to be 2 over, and I'm going to erase these other little 2 over, and how much do we run?
5.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and should that be a positive or negative slope?
Negative.
Negative because
It's going to the left.
it's going to the left. Okay, so this is what our thing should look like. Okay, we wrote it in slope intercept form. Okay, so 12, same thing. Our very first thing that we need to do is figure out what the y-intercept is.
-4.
Yeah, it's going to be at -4. And we got x plus b. Okay, so my y-intercept is definitely going to be at -4. Okay, and then we need to find equal crosshair point for our slope. Okay, so start traveling up the line. Well, right here it crosses equally. Okay, so how much do we rise? How much do we run?
1 over 2.
1 over 2. I will agree with that. Okay, so we have to go up 1 and over 2.
When you go backwards and forward,
Huh?
like when you go up and then to the right or to the left.
Okay, so if we were to look at this point, because we could also use that one, okay, and we started here,
It's still the same thing.
it is still the same thing. But the up and down does not dictate whether our number is negative or positive. It's only the left and right. Okay, so you would still have to do your rise first and then your run, or your rise and then your run, or your rise and then your run. So any of those points work really.